The second coming of Jesus has always been the great hope of his true followers. Satan's power to torment and tempt God's people will be ended when Jesus comes and takes his waiting faithful people back to paradise. Prophecy gives us signs that we may know when Jesus' second coming is near. Jesus told us, "There will be signs in the sun and in the moon and in the stars. The sun will be darkened, and the moon will not give her light, and the stars of heaven will fall, and the powers in heaven will be shaken. And then will they see the Son of Man coming in the clouds with great power and glory." These prophecies began to fulfill in 1755. In that year, the most terrible earthquake ever recorded took place, the Great Earthquake of Lisbon. It reached to a large part of Europe, Africa and America. It was felt in Greenland, in the West Indies, in the island of Madeira, in Norway and Sweden, Great Britain and Ireland. It reached an area of not less than 4 million square miles. Near Morocco, a village of 8 or 10,000 people was swallowed up. A huge wave swept over the coast of Spain and Africa, and engulfed cities. In Portugal, mountains were violently shaken and split open, and huge parts of the mountains were thrown down. It was even reported that flames of fire came forth from those mountains. The violent shock of the earthquake destroyed a large part of the city of Lisbon in Portugal. The people were terrified more than words can explain. Nobody cried, because the destruction and horror was beyond tears. It is estimated that 90,000 people died on that deadly day. Jesus promised that after the Great Tribulation, the sun and moon would be darkened as the next sign of the nearness of his coming. After the Great Tribulation of the Roman Church against the people of God had almost completely stopped, the sun and moon were darkened, exactly on time, as Jesus foretold. In New England on May 19, 1780, it became intensely dark. Fear, worry, and amazement began to fill the minds of the people. Birds returned to their place of nightly sleep and sang their evening songs. Cattle returned from the pasture and mooed. Frogs peeped, and bats flew around. But the human knew that night had not come. Even though a full moon rose later that evening, it did not brighten the death-like darkness. After midnight, the darkness disappeared, and when the moon appeared, it was blood red. There has never been recorded a day so dark for so long since the plagues of Egypt in the time of Moses. The dark day happened exactly as described by Joel's prophecy. The sun shall be turned into darkness, and the moon into blood, before the great and terrible day of the Lord come. Jesus told his people to watch for the signs of his coming. He told them to rejoice when they saw the signs that foretold his coming was near. The Savior told his followers that just before his coming, things would be the same as they were in Noah's time. People would be busy with worldly business and looking for pleasure. They would be buying and selling, planting and building, and getting married. But God would not be in their thoughts, and they would not be concerned about the coming of Christ or of the future life. Jesus warned us to be ready for his coming. Be careful that you not let overeating and drunkenness and the concerns of this life overstimulate your heart and cause that day to come upon you unexpectedly. Watch therefore and pray always that you will be considered worthy to escape all these things that shall happen and to stand before the Son of Man. If therefore you will not watch, I will come to you as a thief, and you will not know what hour I will come. Those who say they know God, but in their hearts love sin and unrighteousness, to those people the second coming of Jesus will be a day of fear and destruction. In Revelation 14 is a 3-part message that is to prepare people to be ready for the coming of Jesus. The first angel announces that the judgment has come. The prophet John sees the angel flying in the sky, having the everlasting gospel to preach to every language, nation, family, and person on the earth. The angel says with a loud voice, "Fear God and give glory to him, for the hour of his judgment has come, and worship him that made heaven and earth, the sea and the fountains of waters." Immediately after these messages, Jesus is seen coming on a cloud. These are the final gospel warning messages to be given to the world to be ready for the day of Jesus' coming. Whoever has the single purpose in life to do God's will, earnestly following all the light God has given, to that person God will give more light to guide him into all truth. Jesus will come the second time with salvation only to those who live their lives in such a way that they are watching and preparing for his coming. We have no good reason to be walking in darkness that the second coming of Jesus should take us by surprise.